Heyo, my name is Sarah, and today's book review is on Chew, Ashes and Dust, book 2 of Shadow and Moonlight by Luna Laurier. Non-spoilers. I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. We literally pick up, even though the book says a few months later, we literally pick up with Cass beginning her training with Damien and the gang of Immortals trying to fight the Darklings, because we now know Melanthe, who is the leader of the Darklings, is planning something shady, because in the last book we found out Darklings aren't acting the way they're supposed to be, and they are targeting Cass because 1, she is the reincarnation of Moira, the daughter of their goddess Selene, and 2, she is mortal with a condition she still hasn't told Damien about. This book gave me what I wanted. It literally delved deep into the world, the culture, the people of the Immortals, how Damien is the king and how everyone sees Cass, even though she is mortal, the queen. And even though it kind of gives like a quick little whiplash, this book does what I love best. It gives us a glossary and certain terminology lists so we can get more of this people, of this culture. Another fun thing is we get split POVs. We get Cass and we also get Damien. One with Cass, how she's struggling to, first of all, use her abilities in her mortal form that would have been perfect as an immortal, as well as, you know, the secret she hasn't told Damien about, which is her heart condition. And we get Damien's POV, how he interacts with the group, as well as channeling, you know, the politics and the people that want to join to fight against the Darklings, and how he's like, you know, worried about Cass, as well as trying to figure out, you know, what happens if, you know, he doesn't know about the heart condition, so how is she supposed to live her mortal life while he continues to live? So that plays a little on his conscience. We also get a peek of, you know, what's beyond what's called the mortal realm to the gods realm, because we have interaction with gods, people. And I'm like, are we safe? Because we know about Selene, but we meet 2 other gods in this book, and with the brief interaction I had with them, I'm like, are we safe to trust the gods? Damien's the same way too. Do we trust the gods? Because things are going so wrong, and apparently this whole thing with Melanthe is because of god interventions. And it's like, do we need to worry about some divine intervention, people? And the ending, we end with a cliffhanger, a little separate epilogue cliffhanger that makes me wonder, did we just get out of one trapping, one with book 1 Marcus, who was his own boss level baddie, to get to this next level, just to open more cans of worms, and now end off with like, are we gonna be able to survive? Because Luna, yes, the author, she likes to play with every character's plot armor. She decides who either has 100%, 75%, or 20%. So be scared, people. Be very scared. And that's as far as I can get into non-spoilers. Chew, Ashes and Dust, book 2 of Shadow and Moonlight by Luna Laurier. 4 out of 5 stars. Bye, non-spoilers. Spoilers. So like I said, a few months have passed, meaning Cass has begun her training with Damien, Zephyr, Barrett, and Vincent. James is doing his mortal tech moments, going through, he's basically the guy in the chair, going through everything, all technology and stuff, trying to figure out, first of all, what happened to Cole, because remember last book, he escaped, and trying to figure out what else is going on with the dark and see if there's any more sightings. So during a training session at the very beginning of the book, Cass has been more so accessing her past lives, and the one that we get at the very beginning is one with Elena, who at Moonhaven, which was a previous settlement that was destroyed by Darklings so long ago. I wouldn't say so long ago, maybe I'd say 100, 200 years ago. That was Cass's last life before it took a while for her to reincarnate. She, in the middle of training, relives and reenacts that moment of her trying to protect people, trying to protect a little girl while they are being attacked and killed by Darklings, people. And this is also the first POV we get of Damien, because they were there at Moonhaven, because at the time Elena was trying to connect, go through the bond to get to Damien, and something was blocking it. And so he found Elena after being attacked. And here she is reenacting that. So he remembers exactly what's going on. And as he's trying to get her to calm down, everyone's there, and the person that's being torn the most about this, because he was also there at Moonhaven, was Zephyr. And I was like, oh no, Luna's gonna play with my emotions, because Damien looks at Zephyr, who looks, he wants to help, but he can't do anything. And in Damien's mind, he's like, of course, because Elena was Zephyr's sister. They were brother and sister. And here they are now, with Cass not remembering, because she's slowly getting access to her memories, but she doesn't remember that. So it's like, oh my god! James did recover footage of how Cole did get out, and it wasn't the guards slipping on their duty. Amaro, who I completely forgot, broke Cole out. So not so much as a security breach, more just, her breaking in and getting them. No inside help at all. But it doesn't look good to Damien, because we do get a call for a council meeting. Meaning we get to meet the heads of the families for the Immortals, and also a chance for, Cass to introduce herself to the families. So, yay, public speaking. We also learned that Cass has difficulty accessing one of her abilities, and that is fire, because she's still getting flashbacks and hearing voices of Marcus. So in a way that affects her psyche, making her afraid of using the fire. And because of that, we also meet Selwa, who is helping Cass heal her mind. She's like a therapist, as well as like using her abilities to the mind to help, heal it. And this is where we also get a sneak peek of how Cass's past lives, aka Moira, is preventing her from remembering things, because when she's going through her mind with Selwa trying to heal, she's also trying to look for information to fight Melanthe and the Darklings. And every time she gets to something of Moira, this time it's more violent, because this memory, before it can be accessed, just like attacks and shoots her right back out. So it's just weird that Moira doesn't want her to access these memories that can help them with the war to come. That's what's Moira hiding. We get our first hunt with Cass, because Damien believes that she's ready, and of course the guys are there, and things go really well. Cass manages to hold her own against a Darkling, and they were like, yay, successful first hunt. We also get a tidbit that Zephyr has a mate. The bond has snapped. He has a mate in place. It's like, who is the lucky person? We finished the night of the hunt after killing 5 Darklings. That Cass, she's still healing from what happened in book 1. And Damien's not pushing her. He knows that Marcus did things to her, but he's like not invading her mind or like asking outright. He's waiting for her to tell him when she's ready. And in doing so, he has a vengeance moment when she shows him what Marcus did. Like, she allows him into her mind, and he's there in the memory as Cass, feeling what she suffered at the hands of Marcus. So it's like, whew. And that was intense on Damien's part, because I feared that he was gonna do something. I don't know what, but it's one of those moments where you look at the character and you're like, are you sure you're okay? You're not gonna go do something that's gonna cause a big domino effect right now. Because this is like where we see like a shred of something in Damien where he can go dark. Another reason why the council wants to meet, besides the fact that, the Cole incident, is that we get a report that Darklings, while we were out hunting, attacked an immortal family. So this is also a threat to the immortals that live out here, to their security, and they're dying with no protection because the Order doesn't have many recruits. And now the council is like, oh, we need to also talk about this. Dude, we need all the help we can get. But this is also a matter that we're going to take to the council, because we need recruits to fight this battle. We go to the club hangout, a bar called Stoker's, which are owned by Chu Immortals, Aiko and Samil. They bring things over from their realm and sell it over here. And everyone's just having a great time. We're celebrating Cass's first victory, her first hunt. And Zephyr brings his mate. First of all, Vincent and Anna, his mate, are expecting a child. So I was fearing, are we going to have a Wolsey moment? So far, everything seems fine. Everything seems fine. But Zephyr brings a mate. And it's Callista, the female from book 1. Who serviced Damien and Cass pulled the dagger out on. But, you know, we found out that it was her father that wanted her to win Damien over to be the one to give him a son. And we find out that even though Zephyr and her are mates, they have the bond and everything, and they can't go with the ritual, the bonding ritual, because with her being part of the noble class, with her father being one of the council members, the head of her family, he gets to decide who she can and cannot mate, because she is a female. And we find out that the females have very limited rights to do things. And this was put into place back then when their numbers were low and it was supposed to protect the families. But this is an outdated law, and Cass is like, we need to fix this. And I am like, am I going to have to kill some more nobles in this book as well? But either way, Cass and Callista get to talk. They get to, you know, mingle, have some conversations while Zephyr and Damien are watching from the sidelines very nervously, and we get a new member to our group. And all I can say is this picture, this illustration almost broke me. I was reading this at lunch and I went, oh my heart. But this illustration, people, oh, everyone is so happy. Before we go meet the council, we have one more training session where Zephyr and Cass, you know, they can animal shapeshift, because Zephyr can do the bird and a jaguar or a panther, a black hat. And so he's teaching Cass how to, you know, be a bird, owl. And she's, you know, asking questions. Maybe we could just do one wing thing, that kind of thing. So we eventually start practicing on that. And after talking for a while, she always noticed that Zephyr always had like a weird line between them, like he wanted to get close but too afraid to get close. And that's when he tells her, Elena was my sister, meaning you're my sister. And Cass was like, I always wanted a sibling, or better yet, an older brother. So it's like she has someone from her family there for her. I was like, oh. But then also, like, you know, it's also like a reminder, like, what about her other previous, like as Lucia, that she had like other family members and all that stuff? Because that's the thing. When I was like so sad that Emilia passed away, her child from that life. It's like she lived these other lives, meaning she had family members. She knew people back then as those lives. So where are they? And in doing so, we get Zephyr, who is now both Elena and Cass's brother. And I'm like, this tie, this connection, I'm like, oh, my heart. We get a dress from Celine, basically telling Cass to go rock it. And we go meet the council members, which is like, okay, we get Tobias, Callista's father, and we get Lysander, who kind of sides with Tobias, but doesn't really. Then we get Sander, Hector, Alec, and Aster. One who was a former soldier for the Order. The other one who's trying to recruit Barrett to be his successor, and also is a good person at skills in fighting. And the other two who just like Damien. So we have more allies than enemies. And that also shows when we're doing our report. Okay, we are being professional. I am being professional. We are listing what's going on, how we're addressing them, some hiccups that came up, meaning the family that was attacked by Darklings and the Cole incident. while Tobias is over here poking the hornet's nest instead of kicking it. And Cass is getting her moment to shine, as well as bring up the fact that, we want to change these laws for the females to have more, rights to doing that. And of course, Tobias is the one pushing against that, while, the others are just like listening. And then someone gets a little too confident in himself, and Tobias makes the mistake of insulting Cass, which Damien, who's been sitting on his throne, being very, very calm, dealing with all of this, basically says, Tobias, you really don't need this tongue of yours, do you? I mean, I can take it off your hands. He literally does attack Tobias and, with the knife. And of course, one immortal is like freaking out, like, oh, this guy was supposed to be my ally. Well, the other's like, finally some excitement. But Cass plays, the negotiator on this thing, saying, he can keep his tongue and he can keep all this stuff, but I think it's time for a new head member for this family. And he's like, well, there's no one there for my family. I'm the only male. It's like, well, I hear your daughter is up for the challenge. And it's like, throw my vote in for Callista. And her house now has a new representative with not much pushing against it. So, Callista, you just got a promotion. We leave Cass at a library, the biggest library, with Salwa, who's also working there, as well as the cute little baby sprites. They're so adorable. And Damien goes to talk with Selene on a moon that she has been exiled to. And this gives us a small taste of what's going on in the God's Realm, aka the 12 gods that kind of rule over there. And it makes me wonder, what did Selene do? Because she shows this cold, neutral personality. Because Damien, remember one time when she was very caring and loving, and whatever happened, whatever godly intervention she did, caused this to happen where she's now exiled and can't interact. So while Damien's feeling Selene on what happened at the council meeting, as well as leaving us with more questions about the gods, he goes back to go get Cass, and they go to Moira's Rest, which is a large, I wouldn't call it Colosseum, but a large structure where all the immortals that have passed are laid to rest. And there, in a frozen state after having died, is Moira. So Cass is really looking at her past self, who looks like he'll wake up at any moment. We have a touching moment where Cass and Damien go visit Emilia, and we just found out that she wasn't going to survive long without her mother. And another moment is where Barrett, he's getting into these weird love bickers with Thalia, and Cass is talking with him, and he tells her, like, back in her past life, I believe it was Elena, or might have been Lucia, I think it was Elena, that he was able to have these type of deep conversations with her because she would just be there and listen. And through that, we learned that Thalia's mate was Barrett's friend, his best friend, who died on patrol with him. I think he got bit by a darkling, but was just mortally wounded that he wouldn't be able to turn into the enemy. He just died, and Barrett's like always felt this conflicting emotion. Like he cares for Thalia. He knows in his heart he loves her, but he doesn't want to cross that line because he also wants to respect his friend who was her mate. And we finally get an answer to a very interesting question, which is, remember that taunting, luring, sweet, dark voice that got Cass to kill Marcus? Well, we have a dream, which is one of those dreams where you think you're dreaming, but you're actually being visited by someone. And one of those is one of those gods I was mentioning about, and it's Eris, the god of discord and chaos, who is the one that did that little voice, as well as the one keeping Cass's heart, which she has not told Damien about, at bay. So because of this goddess, Cass has been thriving, but in doing so, she's kind of now like, an unwanted visitor in Cass's body. So where she even like, does like a weird little thing, you think you can disobey me? She does like, just like a little, and Cass feels her heart suffering. And so Eris says, now that you know I'm here, don't you dare tell anyone. Which Cass does at next training. And Cass is scared because Eris is like, you better not. And Cass is trying to tell, like, yeah, it's Eris, she's inside me. And so her heart starts giving and everyone thinks, what is happening? And Damien takes her to Selene, who is visited by god number 2, who is Erebus, who I thought, wasn't he the one that gave Melantha her reincarnation cycle ability? But I don't know, because they're friends. And Damien doesn't trust him, even though he's being nice and smiling, meaning I don't trust him. But Cass is dying, and Selene can't do anything. So Erebus removes Eris, and she's like, ha ha ha, whatever. You know me, I wouldn't, stop at doing this. I don't care about the rules. You know me, I would just break them just for the whim of it. Right, Father? Meaning Erebus is Eris's father. Meaning I should call Nyx and let her know what her family's up to. But no, Eris just vanishes off. Erebus, after visiting Selene and promising Damien, we're cool, leaves, because I still have more questions for you. And Cass is okay. And Damien, very furious and territorial, notices Selene slightly shaken. So we got a slight emotion. But again, can we trust the gods? After this? Really? Questions? Now that Cass feels 100% and she's no longer afraid of her fire, we go to do another patrol. And we encounter a Darkling. Not of this kind that I dubbed a clicker Darkling, because it can't see, it listens, and I can imagine. And their weapons, if you can't do fire, which only Barrett and Cass can do, run! Run! Run for your lives! This thing, oh my god, this Darkling clicker, which we find out is actually a creature that was recorded in the books. But the page from the library with the sprites wholeheartedly protect with their lives is missing. Which is like, who took that page? Either way, our very first sighting of this creature, and we realized, does Melanthe have new creatures in his arsenal? Because again, only Cass and Barrett can attack it with fire, and the weapons that they use for darkness does not affect it, and it takes off. And Cass is chasing after it because she hears a scream and she knows who it is, and there, unconscious, with the clicker Darkling, are other Darklings over Cat, who we haven't seen in a while. Only texts and cell phone calls. But this is the very first time we see Cat in this book. And my alarms are going, but not for the right reasons. Either way, we rescue Cat. We find out she's not infected. We take her to the hospital. She wakes up. Cass is there. And Cat lets her know that she knew that Cass was sick. She knew that, and she was always worried about her. But now that they're out in the open, talking about this, no more secrets, Cass kind of feels like this weight lifted off her shoulder. And knowing that her best friend was saved, that they managed to get her in time before the Darklings could turn her. But then again, even though we managed to burn the clicker Darkling, again, that page is missing. Who took that page? We also get a little information that Cody, Kat's boyfriend, is also half immortal, which is more questions in on itself. And he was doing a background check on Kat just to make sure everything was okie dokie and let Damien know. And he wanted to bring Kat into the fold. He wanted to tell her about the immortal world. Meaning Cass could have had someone from her old life know what's going on. And again, no more question, no more secrets between the two. So that would have been nice. That would be like, you know, a piece of home that she was able to bring with her, because Cass eventually comes to the conclusion she's going to need to erase her parents' memories, which she has the ability to do so. And after going to the doctor, seeing that, you know, her heart condition is actually slightly improved, Cass has a lovely day with her parents before removing all memories of herself and burning down the house just to make sure nothing remains for their safety, because Damien managed to get them a job transfer and a home to some other city so they wouldn't be in threat of the Darklings, meaning if Kat knew the truth and she was able to accept it and have no mind wiping, again, another piece of home that Cass would be able to hold on to. A couple weeks have passed and we get our very first encounter with Cole, who was leading us on a chase during a patrol, but in doing so, that allowed Darklings to attack a home where we do find survival in the middle of being turned into a Darkling. But before Damien could, you know, ease them and put them out of their misery, we learned that the members in that family of that Immortals were taken. They weren't killed or dragged away. They were taken by Darklings, which leads us to a conclusion that could Melanthe be planning something, and in doing so, this is why she's attacking families. So again, Darklings aren't, they're working as teams, and now we have this question of like, is Melanthe doing something to possibly capture Immortals? Oh, I should have known this was coming, because this was always warned to us. We get a slice of life moment with everyone in the kitchen in the morning, having fun, making pancakes, and you know, they're at the complex where they begin their training and all that stuff. And Damien's, you know, telling Cassie he wants to have the mating ceremony with her, and she's getting ready to tell Damien about her heart when we are surprised attacked by a horde of Darklings. And not only does Cass and Barrett get separated from an injured Sepher and Vincent caring for his brother, Damien is shadow stepping every single person to the clinic out of the complex, making sure everyone is okay, which is taking a toll on him. And because they are separated, Cass and Barrett are chased to the roof by Darklings with no way out. They are running out of steam, and Barrett asks, you know, show me those wings that you and Sepher have been practicing for so long, to try to just see them one time. And here she is on the side of the building, and Barrett's holding on to her, and she sees the black crawl up his veins, meaning that he has been infected. He lets go when her wings are there, and he starts glowing. And you remember that fire bending explosion ability she did on Marcus? Well, Barrett told her never to do that because that was very dangerous. Well, he starts glowing, and Cass falls and watches as that blinding light takes out all of the Darklings. And Damien shows up after transporting everyone, and he's with Vincent after dropping Sepher off at the clinic to be looked after. And they see Cass bloodied, her wings are torn. She's trying to get to the building that's on fire, and they're looking for Barrett. And that's when they realize that he was the one that caused that fire, meaning he sacrificed himself. And Cass has a heart attack. They get her to the clinic. James is brought in to try to find any medical condition to help them, because they are not supplied for this. These are Immortals. They heal. They don't have the stuff we normal humans need. And that's how Damien finds out about Cass's heart condition. They managed to stabilize her. She said that she wanted to tell him so many times. That's what she was going to tell him before they were attacked. And Thalia shows up at the clinic asking, where is my mate? And when no one tells her and she realizes that, she just takes off in wolf form, and we lose sight of her. And so it's like, these chapters, these 3 to 4 chapters, showed you the amount of plot armor these characters have. This showed you that Luna warned us. She warned us to be careful. And I did not follow that warning. But I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. I was just... We hold a funeral for Barrett, at which Selene oversees. And we start seeing a little creeping darkness in Damien when he goes to see Selene to see, he now knows about Cass's heart and the limited time that they have. And he goes there desperate, seeing if Selene can do anything. And again, she can't intervene. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, is this how Marcus felt? Because, we're realizing he's been influenced, and possibly Cole. And so is this what Marcus felt when he lost his mate Vivian, who was Callista's aunt? Is this what he felt and was corrupted, turned to go for the dark side? Because that's what I'm thinking about Damien. He's getting desperate. He's getting desperate and looking for things. So when Selene can't give it to him, he goes to the Fates. The three ladies, three sisters, who with strings of fate and all that. And not only are they not unhelpful, they're also dropping hints about knowing about Arlia. I always called her Ariella in my head, which is a child that just had this great attachment to Barrett and Cass, meaning that they know something about her. So I'm thinking, maybe is she another reincarnated goddess or something, because she knows something. She gave Damien a braid to take to the Fates, which they recognized, but also they said that Cass needs to die. They're making a hint that because of some sin done in the past, this is fated. It must happen. So I'm thinking, does this have to do with Moira? Because again, we cannot access her memory. So they're saying that Cass, Moira, did something in the past, that this is her punishment. This is her for the sin that she did. So something's going on, and the gods aren't telling us. Damien is getting desperate. I'm getting worried. It all goes back to whatever Moira did in the past. And because of that, Cass is suffering the consequences. Cass actually has a moment with Selene, because even though she can only go to certain places because she comes down to the mortal realm, she's there at the library, and Cass and Selene actually have a conversation. We see her coldness, but we also feel a sense of tiredness as well. And so Cass says that, she wants to go through with the mating ceremony with Damien. And of course, we know it's going to take some time to plan, but Cass was like, I just wanted just to be us two. And so just let me know whenever you want to do it, and I will officiate it, which she tells Damien. And so Cass wears the same outfit she wore to the council meeting. Damien is dressed up, and they go to Selene, and they are mated. They get their tattoos, they have a little time, and they are now officially tied together. It feels like their bond also strengthens their ability to communicate and just sense each other's emotions a whole lot more. So they are literally connected with one another. Cass, who's been, cooped up in the house after, being released from the hospital, which was like a few weeks ago, and after the mating ceremony, she gets a call from Kat and also with Cody, and they're gonna go to one of the, the little parks, do a walk. And of course, she's been cooped up in the house for so long. She wants to be outside, and Damien's like, okay, I'll be with the guys because, we have to start rebuilding since the complex burned down. We have a new site. We're moving on with construction. Just let me know if you need anything from me. Call, and I'll either send one of the guys over. I'll come and get you. She's like, no, don't worry. We're just gonna go take a walk. Kat's here, and she's like saying, yeah, me, Cody will be like the best people with her and all that stuff, and we'll let you know if anything happens. Everything's gonna be a-okay. We show up at the park. We're enjoying a moment. Cass is like, now that she knows that she found out that Cody was half immortal and that they did background check on Kat. She was a little upset at first, but she understood that Damien just wanted to be sure, and she was like, really happy that if Cody did tell Kat and she was okay, again, part of home, coming with her into this new life. Well, Cole shows up. Cass, not 100%. Her plot armor percentage is like at 30%. Cody, half immortal, no training whatsoever, and Cole shows up, and behind us we hear, "You're late, Cole." And walking past Cass and Cody, and now going to Cole, who was being cocky a second ago, completely, meaning he's being controlled. Standing next to him, after walking across the field, is Kat, who transforms into Melanthe. Which I was like, remember when I said I had a theory in book 1? Even though we only met her a few times, and then she was attacked by the Clicker Darkling with the Darklings. Cass was Melanthe the whole time, and I suspected her. Nothing gave me up. Nothing told me why. But I looked at her from day one. Day one, I met her. I talked with her. I spent some time with her, and I was like, I do not trust you. And now I know why. She planned this thing the whole time. She managed to get her way on Cole. She managed to get her claws in Cole and turn him. She managed to get her claws into Marcus from back then when he lost his mate and turned him. She knew about Cass when her and her family came to town when she was little. So Melanthe pretended to be Kat this whole entire time throughout Cass's entire life. She was playing the long game. She waited until Cass got her abilities, because the first time we saw each other, the first time in the alley, she knew that if she turned to Cass right then and there, she would have just been a Darkling. She needs Cass with her god abilities. So that's why she waited this whole entire freaking time. She waited, and now our plot armor is at 30%. We are in danger. And Cody's plot armor, after seeing this, and Melanthe telling Cody, she knew this whole entire time. Cody's plot armor is at 10%, people, because Melanthe walks up to Cody while Cass is trying to get Cole just lick up. She lets him know that, why does the King of Shadows gets to have a mate? Why can't I have a king? And I knew from the moment I saw you that you were mine. They are mates. Cody and Melanthe are mates, because she is technically an immortal. You remember, her father was an immortal, remember that. But because his plot armor is at 10%, Melanthe let him know that she didn't like the fact that he talked with a mortal that worked for the Lord of Shadows. And she stabs him, and Cass tries to help, but Cole intercepts. Well, Melanthe is like, she has tendrils, people. So in long claws, she is in Darkling form. She completely shifted, and it's daytime. She shifted to like a weird mix between a mortal Darkling creature. So she has Cole kebabbed. She's lifting tendrils, and she gets Joker split, mouth open. She's getting ready to bite him. She's getting ready to turn him. And Cass is dealing with Cole, who is not there anymore. He is legit puppet mode, and she's already weak. Her heart, she can feel her heart starting to waver. Her plot armor percentage is going down by the minute. And so she takes that last minute and she dives into Cole's mind, sees all of the infection that took over him, and she burns it out. She's like, "Begone, evil," and frees Cole, who wakes up and literally he doesn't know what was going on for like the past few months. He barely remembers bits and pieces, and everything was just black. So not only is he awake, Melanthe having now not only bit, but she fed Cody some of her blood, and he's on the sideline. She stabs Cass, throws Cole over, and now that Cass is literally now dying, Melanthe forces Cass to drink her blood. She bites, but it's not gonna work, so she's forcing Cass to drink her blood. And even though that happens, it's been a few weeks, but coming running out of the woods in the wolf form is Thalia, who rips off Molante's arm, but Cass is in terrible condition. Cole is trying to do his best to stop the bleeding, fearing that whatever Molante did, it's going to start affecting Cass. And she's trying to reach out to Damien in her mind, and it's not really working. And he barely gets something. He's with James, Vincent, and Zephyr. And he gets a little woozy for a second. He's like, what's going on? He tries to reach out to Cass, and all he can feel for a split second is her panic. And he knows something is wrong. So James looks up the location. He's never tried this before. It's kind of dangerous to go into a place that you haven't been to. But Damien takes Vincent and Zephyr, and they show up. And they see Molante in that form. They see Thalia trying to defend Cole and Cass. But they just think that Cole, last time they saw Cole, bad person. Damien goes feral, attacks Cole, who's trying to beg that he's not being controlled, and he's about to avenge his mate when Thalia stops him. And that's when he sees that Cole is now Cole. He's no longer being controlled. And they look, and Molante is like laughing, saying she will come to me when she's ready. And she takes Cody. She takes Cody and disappears. And now Cass is starting to get the black veins. She's being converted, and Cole said, yeah, Molante, that was Kat, and she made Cass drink her blood. And now Damien and Cole, they are now on the same wavelength. Damien is asking if Cole can get all of the venom, all of the poison from the blood, and put it in one spot for him to remove, because that dangerous process of trying to save an immortal, a person bitten by a Darkling, can you get all into one spot for me to remove? And he's like, I can try. I promise you I can do this. And so in this state, while Cass is literally dying, she is like slowly being turned in her, the darkness is pulling her in her mind. It's pulling her in her mind. She's slowly being turned. But because of this, because Cole is able to get it all in one spot, and Damien is pulling it out, he's also in the mind trying to reach out to Cass, which, you know, she's trying to fight back to get to him. And when she wakes up, they manage to remove the poison, the venom, out of her. But we also have this problem of her bleeding to death. Her heart, which, it's a miracle that hasn't given out. It's under so much stress, especially after what she did with Cole, that Damien manages to transport them through the shadows to the hospital. And the hospital staff are on their toes right now because we are in critical condition. We managed to stabilize Cass, and Thalia hasn't left her side, but is in wolf form. I think after what happened with Barrett, this is like her form of comfort, because she's gonna be in wolf form until like we reach the end, and we're wondering, is she ever gonna turn back, because she's not even speaking in her wolf form. Crew are outside. Cole nervous because he didn't know, he wasn't fully aware of what was going on, but he also feels guilty for what's going on, and Damien doesn't want to hold that against him. But he also just like feels that anger for, you know, even though Cole still partook in that. And Vincent lets them know the council wants to know how to handle this. So Cole understandably goes with Vincent. And the trial, it's going to take a while process. I hope he gets a good attorney, honestly. Because, again, I'm a little with Damien, but also with Cass and everyone else. Like, you know, he was being controlled by Molante, which we find out she's experimenting on the other captured immortals the same way she did with Cole, meaning this is how she can get insiders into the Immortal Society. But we'll just see what the verdict is. Cass, not doing so well. She knows her time is ending, and Damien, in his desperate mind, somehow someone smells that and does a whole reality marble and calls for him. And Eris is there to offer some assistance, meaning she is willing to help Damien save Cass in exchange for something in the future, which she doesn't know, but will call for it when she believes is right. Which I'm like, Rumpelstiltskin anyone? But Damien says no. Eris is like, what other choice do you have? And she leaves. And like right after that, Cass starts going into cardiac arrest. Damien is fearing that I just turned down the only shot I have of saving Cass. And as they are trying to resuscitate her, and she's getting ready to flatline, Damien puts one stipulation in this agreement, and Eris agrees to not harm a single hair on Cass. And when they call it, darkness explodes into the room, takes Cass and Damien, and of course some people think it was Damien doing that because he lost his mate, but no, it's Eris. She takes them to her realm, and she performs an old magic ritual by putting darkness into Cass with the mix of Damien's blood. Does this ritual, and she says to Damien it's lost information from long ago, and she saves Cass and tells Damien, be careful, she's a little bitey, and just plops them back at Damien's home. Which, of course, Vincent, after getting a call from Anna, his wife, who's now on bed rest, says, yeah. He goes to the house, and there's Damien saying, I found a way. And she's now one of us. Meaning Cass is now an immortal. But he says, I found a way. He didn't say it was from Eris, because did we just go against like nature's law? And the 12 who punished Selene for something, how would they fare if they found out that the Lord of Shadows, the King of Immortals, worked with Eris and did this for his mate? Oh, what thou punishment shall they set upon us? So he said, I found a way. Old magic, forgotten magic. And Eris, I'm gonna have to not call your father, but I'm gonna tell your mommy what you've been up to, because Cass wakes up in a bloodlust. Her eyes, now silver with a hint of hazel on the right side. She feels the urge to feed people. Her bones are burning, her insides are hurting, her mouth aches with 2 pinpoints. Everything hurts around her. Of course, Damien and Vincent are there. Vincent gets a little burned, but Damien does the cut. He's like, I have what you need. And Damien offers himself to Cass, allowing her to do whatever she needs. And when he's like, take what you need, I'll make it all go away. I couldn't help but, you know, I had to play the Twilight song. I had to, people. I'm sorry. He's like, I'm gonna make the pain go away, Cass. I'm gonna make the pain go away. Which he does. He allows her to feed as much as she wants, because she is in the bloodless state. And when she starts getting her clarity back, you know, they also have time. So they stay upstairs for the whole day with Cass getting used to the feeding, them having their time, until eventually things calm down. He lets her know that, you know, whenever immortals go through their settling, this kind of happens as well. He did help her in one of her past lives during this. But now that Cass is an immortal, and after everything is settled, and after she is calm and trying to get used to this new body of hers, she is now able to unlock the memories that have been coming in fragments. Meaning we get like a full thing of her as Elena and her relationship with Zephyr and their parents back in those lives. She gets a little taste of Lucia, but again, Moira is still inaccessible. It's just something is blocking us from her. Something is blocking us. And when Cass and Damien go downstairs, everyone is waiting for her, and she lets, you know, Zephyr know that, you know, she remembers everything. He's like so happy that not only is she alive, he also gets his sister back. Everyone's having, like, you know, a celebratory night. Cass goes outside with Dahlia, just like, you know, wondering if we're ever gonna see her ever again, because this is like, you know, she's mourning the death of her mates, and this is her only comfort. And there's Damien talking with her, and he knows that Kat Malente kind of just like took everything from Cass, and like, you know, we will get ours from her, and Cass is like, I want just to destroy her and be rid of her forever. The ending ends with Melanthe having a temper tantrum, killing some Darklings, and something saying I, and then going back to we, and this weird hive mind thing, trying to like remember something or trying to discern whether if Melanthe is good or bad, and they're talking like she, her, I need to get revenge, mixing up words, not knowing who is she that he's talking about, and wanting to be of service. I am of service, we are of service. And Melanthe looks at it and it's like, I might still have use for you. And my little mind, my rationale mind is like, it's this Cody that's slowly being turned into like a hive mind Darkling servant. Well, my fanficky mind is like, could this possibly be other immortals that were turned into Darklings that have a teeny weeny little shred of their humanity and are trying to discern who is good, who is bad. Try to remember if Melanthe was the good, who is bad, if she was their leader, queen, evil. Something is fighting in this hive mind, and it's getting twisted. And that's the end of spoilers. So yes, people, check your plot armor because it goes into effect, I would say, close to halfway marker. Because again, the twisty turnies, the things that you weren't expecting or the things you forgot you were warned about, they come and consequences happen. But hey, Cass is immortal. She has access to remembrance as well as all of her abilities. And now we know who the enemy is. Who is Cat? Who is Melanthe? Who I suspected from Kingdom Come from the very beginning. And I want to know what's going on with the Darklings now. Will there be punishment for Damien? Because you know this secret isn't gonna last very long. Someone's gonna find out. Someone's gonna come sniffing around, whether they be deity or not. Someone's gonna figure out something happened with the Lord of Shadows and Eris, and they are gonna report that to the 12, who sound very, very petty. And what they did to Selene by banishing her to the moon. And the Fates know something. Especially with Ariella. Again, in my mind I call her Ariel. It's like, is she another goddess or immortal reborn? I don't know. And is Arubis really a friend? Because wasn't he the one that gave Melanthe the power of reincarnation cycle? And I had to do this. But something might be up the sleeve of Eris. If you remember what happened in the prologue, I did not mention the prologue, but I had to reread the prologue. And now that when I finished the book and reread the prologue, was this the plan all along? Because again, book 1, brief mention of Eris from Marcus, meaning Eris possibly knew who Melanthe was this whole time. And now that we know her and what she's done with Damien, and if you reread the prologue, this all goes back to Moira. What happened with Moira? What did she do? All these troubles, everything. My Sherlock and Holmes Watsons goes back to Moira. All the lines, all the threads, all the connections. Moira did something in the past, which created this whole domino effect, leading up to today with Cass. Now with this bargain between Damien and Eris, and Eris has cards we do not know, ready to play, and it might all come back, besides Moira, have to deal with Melanthe. But let's look at the bright side. We got some like little nice slice of life. We got changes going on in the country with Callista. Yay! We got some more characters from Stokers to go, so if we ever need a drink, hit them up. I feel sorry for Thalia. I hope she's okay. Please don't give me a Wellesley moment with Vincent and Anna. Let's have a happy moment. And I am glad that at least Cass has a brother to rely upon. And can we get a miracle moment, a resurrection, from other gods? Because again, Nyx, your family is shaking the house. We need help. But then again, can this goddess intervene? Things are happening. happening. Things are happening. My brain is firing all over the place. I have a fanficky moment about the very end. I want answers, and I don't know when the third book is coming out, but I do believe at the very end, like you know how they have a little advertisement, that there should be a novella that comes up, and I believe it might have to deal with Thalia. It might be a moment with her in Barrett before what happened at the complex. Don't quote me on that, but I just know that there's a novella, and I think it has to deal with those two, which is probably gonna just tear my heart out even more, people. But all in all, wonderful follow-up from the first book of Shadow and Moonlight, which gave us our characters, which introduced us just briefly to the world that we were about to dive into. This one just threw us into the deep end, and we just learned how to swim, and now a tidal wave is coming, full of feels, full of questions, full of worries. And I cannot wait at all. I cannot wait for book 3. And yeah, Chew, Ashes, and Dust, book 2 of Shadow and Moonlight by Luna Laurier. 4 out of 5 stars. My name is Sarah, and bye!